Welcome everybody, this is Mike Griffith with Blis Realty, and this is a podcast called It's Your Move, and I'm here with
Scott Miller from Bank of England Mortgage.
All right, Scott. This is our first podcast together, and we're going to try to accomplish many things with it. Why don't you give me a 10-second review of what you want to accomplish?
Well, we just want to try to bring all aspects of the home ownership process, not just buying and selling, which is our expertise, but all of the different pieces, nuances that could come up with it, and have a good time doing it.
Yeah, I like the good time part, and we want to bring in people that have expertise outside of our world, and see what they bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you do a real estate transaction, they're just behind the scenes,
right? And
you don't know that all this stuff is going on. So we're going to try to inform people, have some fun, and educate the listeners and ourselves.
Yep.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Been a lender for 31 years. Most recent, I was a part owner of River City Mortgage, and we sold to Wintrust, and then now here I am at Bank of England Mortgage. In my role, I've been managing before, recruiting, and now I'm just a loan officer. I have a team of people. Scott Gruel is another loan officer with us. He's got over 22 years origination experience. He's the detail portion of our team. I always say that I'm the promise maker. He's the promise keeper.
That's good.
And then we got Nancy, who was actually my first manager when I got into the industry. So she's got a lot of years of experience, and she really works with making sure that everybody has all their documents into us and makes that process go a lot smoother. So that's what we do.
Now, with the Bank of England, it's not out of London, is it?
No, great point. We are not tea and crumpets. It's England, Arkansas. It's a fourth generation bank. We can lend in all 50 states, and which helps out right now because I've been in it a long time, and now a lot of my customers are getting retirement homes and going to different stuff. I'm not going to tell you that I solicit business in every state. Obviously we can lend there, but we just have some customers that have moved that it helps out with that. So they're out of right next to Little Rock, Arkansas. So the flew into the Bill and Hillary Clinton International Airport, and it was about the size of this little studio we're in.
Yeah, it's not a big airport, that's for sure.
No. Tell me about Blis.
Well, Blis, I like to call it a boutique real estate brokerage. It stands for buy, sell, live in style. So that's how they came up with Blis. And we have two brokers. One is Lillian Durovitsky, and she's a great gal. And her foundation is that she's an interior designer, and she can change a house, unbelievable. Just, most people don't have the eye for that.
No.
And the other person is Clayton Bird. And Clayton is my go-to guy. He knows the regulations like the back of his hand. He's been in the business for a long time, and they're good people. And then I have a partner in Olga Repashuk, and we are a team, and we really work well together because she likes to do the stuff that I'm not good at, which is paperwork. And, it's kind of like you and Gruel, where it's a similar relationship, I believe, where I'll go out and negotiate and do the sale and do that. But and Olga does that too, but it's more of the paperwork in the real estate business just drives me crazy.
There's a lot of paperwork in our industry.
And then I call it a boutique real estate firm because it's, we're small, and we're like a family. We hang out together, we do things, but we are different in the sense that we can sell as is. BlisRealty.com, you can see some of the transformations that have been made. Okay. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's not about just putting everything in a neutral color.
Yeah. Okay. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, that's the word. If you put everything in a neutral color, it's neither inviting or offending.
Correct.
It's neutral, obviously. Right. And so, but there are things that you can do and color schemes and just simple props, like a staging. It's not just staging, it's where you put these things. And it's not a science. I don't want to go that far, but it is a intuitive process that some people have, and some people don't.
I heard a realtor describe that to me once as that when we live in a house and it looks like our family lives there, And if it's staged properly, the reason to have an expert come in and do that is that you don't want to display that your family's in the house. You want the potential buyer to be able to picture their family.
Exactly.
And so if you don't do that properly, and it looks like your home, then that buyer might feel like they're kind of putting you out, and they may not get that warm, fuzzy feeling there.
Yeah, we've done things with clients like, we had a client that needed to get a new deck. There was no way he was going to sell that house with a deck. And we were just hemming and hawing about what to do. He didn't really want to spend the money on it. So I said, go buy the lumber. I'll put it up for you.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It's just you want to get the job done, and you go the extra mile for your clients. For me, it's a lot of fun to be invited to their birthday parties and the cookouts because we become friends in the process.
Right. Develop relationships.
Yeah. I don't want it to be a wham bam and you're done.
Right.
That does happen every once in a while, but I'd rather have the long-term relationships that you can develop, in this business, because you do for a short period of time become very close because you're always in communication, and I'm sure you have that in your business too.
Right. That
there's a lot of emotion with selling and buying a house.
Yeah, it's moving families.
Yeah, it's a lot of emotion. So that's really Blis in a nutshell. So it's good. So let me ask you, we're all in the middle of this coronavirus, COVID-19.
Yeah.
Up to 30 million people have lost their jobs in the last month. There's a lot of Fed putting trillions of dollars into buying the bond markets, to giving people monies. How has it affected the mortgage business?
Very slightly. No, just kidding. It's been huge. Basically, what happened is after 2008, when that crash happened, that was an infrastructure problem. You had a lot of issues with Wall Street and everything, how things were going, and
you had some fraud too, I imagine.
A lot of fraud. There's a lot of fraud, and it was done literally at Wall Street. I know realtors and lenders get kind of blamed for that, but it was really mostly on Wall Street and greed at all levels. Let's maybe say that.
I'm a novice at the mortgage side. Just correct me. This is my knowledge. It's when they bundled them up. They bundled up a ton of bad loans, and Wall Street bought them, and they were junk.
Well, that
true?
That did happen, but they bundled loans, and this is on there's an Inside Job. It's a documentary, Inside Job, where the congressional hearings and stuff, everything that's on there, and some of the agencies that rate investments, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, Fitch, all that, they were getting bribed and rating those same bundled investments as AAA. In the congressional hearings, they said this was our opinion, and the investor would have to make their own. So there wasn't any legal action taken against them, but that allowed, there's certain, like your 401k, insurance companies, foreign countries can only invest in AAA rated investments, so then they were buying those. So it really had a big impact when it went bad. That's a little bit different than what we have now. We have the government shutdown right now.
Right.
Yes, it's changed lending. Loan servicers they're bleeding money. That would be a long conversation. I can certainly talk to people if they want to give me a buzz or reach out, but they're losing money. But they still need good loans in, and so they've kind of tightened their standards up a little bit. They want that extremely low interest rates for good buyers. If you're marginal or below average credit, it's going to be difficult to find an option right now. It's a great opportunity to work with us, and we can help improve your credit, because they need to lend to good buyers, because they want to reduce their delinquencies is what they're trying to do. So it's changed it a bit, but if you have good credit, rates are historically low, 220-year average of low. So great opportunity.
Okay. From the real estate standpoint, we're seeing a lot less activity in the listings, in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We're not seeing the prices drop that much. I think they're holding steady. So that tells me that the market is, holding. I think the market is in a waiting pattern versus reacting to the market. So what do you say? So
here's, I subscribe to a service called MBS Highway, and it includes a lot of information.
I do too now.
Yeah, you're a part of that.
Yeah.
Thank And so a lot of information on there, including a lot of other just financial experts.
Correct.
So Case Shiller does a study every month. It's a monthly update. That's a 3-month average. Case Shiller report is from all 9 of the U.S. Census Bureaus. So November through February, so November 19 through February 2020, house appreciation nationally was about 3.2% in November, a little higher in December, 3.5% in January, and 4.2% nationally appreciation over in February this year, which meant that real estate values, we were in a 13-year housing or best values in the last 13 years, starting the year pre-COVID. What they're anticipating as now, because obviously we're going to start getting data in March and April, which is now post-COVID, and see what happens. What that's telling us, though, is that even if it doesn't appreciate, they're not going down in value.
Correct.
So a lot of people are asking me what's going to happen. Every week we have been writing pre-approval letters for people, and they're in multiple offers. And last night I just wrote one for someone at the $300,000. So it's not just $250 and below. Multiple offers. There's a desire still. There's still 75% of the people are still earning the same money. They still want to move. I think the reason for the lack of inventory, people have families and they want to make sure that their jobs are good. Obviously, the economy is scaring people.
Absolutely.
And so they're going to wait, but they still want to make their moves. The desire didn't go away. There are people that were, when the shutdown happened, they were already anywhere from 2 to 7 months pregnant already. So they still have a desire to increase their housing space. So I think once it settles down, whenever we can get back to a norm, then you'll see that still go right back up because rates are going to be low and then people will be selling their house.
I think it was more of a reaction to the shelter in place.
Yeah.
People that were looking at homes were all of a sudden at home. You know what I mean?
Right.
30 days ago, when I told my clients, just put the brakes on. Let's see how this plays out, And at that time, I said, listen, this is your preseason. Get your credit in order. Get your financials in order. Start looking around to see what's out there. And, today, I say the preseason's over. It's ready for the game 1 of the full season. So
the NFL might call you. They need some help with their season.
Yeah, I hear you there. But it's all about timing. And, we don't want to rush into anything. If they see something they like, we want to go fast. But this COVID-19 has caused a little bit of problems with, the standard way of doing open houses. Now we have virtual tours that people can go in open houses and things like that. I've actually talked to a guy that his client bought a house on a virtual tour, never stepped foot in it.
Wow.
I would never do that. I need to smell it, see it, touch it. But some people, are, like you said, still have to move. They still have the desire. They still have the needs. And they're just dealing with the circumstances, such as buying a home on a virtual tour. Right.
But you remember, though, the millennials, obviously, everyone gets, picking on the millennials, but they're in the social media. That's how they grew up.
Exactly.
And so it's not as weird for them. And so this is okay for them. And if you have a good relationship with their agent, they trust their agent, they do a virtual tour, I think we'll start seeing that. This is going to be interesting to see how everything changes.
You always have that inspection clause, right. So at that point, if things aren't what you thought they were, you have the opportunity to back down.
Right.
Let's just move on a little bit here and just talk about how many other type of professionals that we're going to try to bring in, and just let's talk about some of the people we want to bring in so that people will understand where we're going to go in the direction of the show.
Well, the people I've spoken to, I know you have some as well, because we're trying to make this more interesting than just you and I, which I can't believe people would just think this is the best anyway.
Well, there's, we could actually go on a whole different tangent besides real estate.
One thing, if I can just get on a soapbox for a little bit.
You got 3 minutes.
All right, here's my quick soapbox. When I talk to people about having the right mortgage, and what I mean by the right mortgage is that somebody could be at a 3.5 interest rate right now, And I could show them that a 5% interest rate might be better. No, rates aren't at 5, but I could show that model. The part that amazed me, so what do you think? We've been in a shutdown for 6 weeks, do we agree?
Let's just say 6 weeks.
6 weeks. 7% of Americans are on a forbearance on their mortgage. In the 6 or 7 weeks, that means they've had to make one house payment. One, because their all house and rent is due the first of the month. And they're coming up on their second, and they had to go to a forbearance. They don't have and statistics say those people have $14,000 or more in credit card debt. I am hoping that what comes out of this is that people are more financially stable and they understand their stuff. 2 months of no work should not shut down the entire country as far as paying their bills and doing the things they are. Obviously, it's going to have an impact on the smaller companies, salons and bars and restaurants that are single owner. Yes, I get that. I'm not addressing that. But I'm saying from a family, if you don't have the financial capability of weathering a storm for more than a month, maybe you don't have the right financing. Maybe you're equity rich, cash poor. So I'm hoping that comes out, and that's what I'm hoping Ted can shed some light on is what you can do. So it'll hopefully be helpful for people.
Okay, so you're off your soapbox now?
I'm done now.
All right.
Yeah.
So at one point, I had a thought. You told me a joke the other day, and I can't remember what it is.
Thank you. It's a great one.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the people in Abu Dhabi and the people from Dubai?
I have no idea.
The people in Dubai do not believe in the Flintstones, but the people in Abu Dhabi do. I love that
That's
joke.
a great one.
I also own a daycare, so that's where I get these jokes from.
Nice. Did you know that the WHO and the CDC just came out with new guidelines?
No, what were they?
We have to wear masks under their recommendations and gloves, but we also have to wear a blindfold so we don't see what's going on in the real world.
They're doing a good job. That's called the news, isn't it?
This week we're going to have Howard Syverson on here. And what do you know about Howie? Anything?
Well, I don't know who he is. The only thing, obviously, since you let the cat out of the bag, that this is our third time, I know that he's a great Elvis impersonator.
He is ranked in the top 10 in the nation, and he's actually pretty good.
Well,
I mean, he sings just like Elvis.
Wow.
You know, the fat Elvis, not the young Elvis. But Howie was a client of mine and Olga's, and we did what we said about Blis. We changed their whole house around with very limited initial investment, and we were able to get much more money for their house.
Nice.
$25,000 out of that investment. But we had to do it in like zippity-doo quickness because they put an offer on a house and it had a contingency that their house would be sold. So there was a lot going on here, and we did it very quickly. And I want him to come in and talk about that process. I know that Olga and I drove him crazy at times because Howie's a pretty mellow guy. But his wife was just, all over it. She wanted to get it done. They wanted to move. And they're just turned 60, and they didn't sell to downgrade or get a smaller home. They actually bought a bigger house.
Wow.
Just for their grandkids. And Howie's really got great stories, and we're going to try to see if we can get him to sing here, too.
Is he going to have a jumpsuit on?
Probably not.
All right.
But we could twist his arm to see if he'll put it on.
All right, let's try that. So that'll be good to have a consumer talk about it. So that'll be good from his perspective, but then probably somewhat entertaining as well.
Since Blis is not a well-known, it's not like Keller or Remax or anything like that.
Right.
And Bank of England isn't like a Wells Fargo U.S. bank. So one of the questions people may have is why Bank of England? What do you guys do differently?
That's a great question. People ask that all the time, and I always argue that you don't need a realtor to sell your house. I literally can just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I'll save my house for this amount of money." They agree. Technically, we've sold the house. I don't need a realtor to do that.
That's correct.
You need a realtor to get from the purchase agreement to the closing. I have a plaque in my office that says it's never a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be problems on title, appraisal, inspections. The realtor is the non-emotional part you had talked about earlier, that it's a very emotional process, and it is. And when the things that pop up, the static that comes in, we don't know how big or how small or when it's going to pop up, at the beginning, at the end, and you need a trusted realtor to get through that. Same with a lender. You can do it online, and they can go rocket fast on it. But I don't like them because they're order takers. I look at your mortgage. Everyone says it's the biggest investment. Most people try to separate their mortgage payment from their other debt. And what I try to look at, I've spent 31 years looking at people's income and liabilities. I am not a financial planner, but I studied money. And so I try to stimulate thought by saying there's a different way to use this money to make your monthly outflow a little bit better. And so that's what I do. Bank of England, they offer us a lot of autonomy at the branch level. Everything is done at our branch. We can make those decisions. So we have one lady right now that's closing in July, and her lender is a stiff bank, and they have to escrow for a septic. The septic is non-compliant. Well, we're out of the escrow season. It's just no. And I said yes without even talking to anybody. I said, of course, we'll find a way to do that. Those are the things that we can do. We can be flexible with things, and we can be, our manager's great, very close personal friend, so we know what we can do in our company because it's all done there. So that was the main reason we went to Bank of England, is that with our team, I literally say yes to everybody.
And it's the Scott Miller team, correct?
Scott Miller team, yep. www.thescottmillerteam.com.
All right.
Yeah.
When I met you, Olga and I were working on a deal in Coon Rapids, and you were the buyer's mortgage person. And we were the listing agents. And, we didn't contact you much, but you kept us informed the entire time, and you didn't have to. And that's what I liked about you. And then we subsequently met, and here we are today. But that's just service and communication that you guys did really well with the communication. Versus like a Wells Fargo or something, they never communicate to us.
Or like I said, the online stuff. Houses are bought and sold in evenings and weekends, and no one likes to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I'm a retail guy, just like you are. And when people need a letter, pre-approval letter, and now what we're also doing a lot of is offer to our agents that I call the listing agent, and I kind of go over without sharing financial privacy issues.
Oh, of course.
But we tell them what we've done and a little bit of a background so they know that it's a solid deal. And then for some of our agents, not all of them take it up on us, but when they're the listing agent and they receive a purchase agreement, I'm calling the lender for them to make sure that has this lender really looked at their file and done all that. And I've had a couple of lenders irritated with me doing it. I'm not trying to steal the deal, but I'm just asking the questions for the agent, say, this sounds pretty good. So we've been trying to do that. That's the little service, just like you did with Howie or Howard, about helping them stage it right. I don't know anyone that's really going to do that to help them get more money. So that's the service. Service is intangible. You don't know it till you're experiencing it.